everyone.
Hi, everybody.
I think this is our second video newsletter.
It is. They're kind of fun.
Yeah, we love to do these things, connecting with you and just telling good stories.
Right.
So today we wanted to talk about the window of tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that we spend a lot of time teaching the kiddos that come into our office along with the parents because they're in session too.
Right.
And what we know is when we teach this, we talk to the child and the parent a lot about when you're in your window of tolerance, you're calm, you can accept praise, you tell the truth, your mind is all clear and not so discombobulated. But when something happens that triggers you and moves you outside that window of tolerance, you become just like a strange person, right? And what I mean by that is you become somebody that you feel like you're just not. And we really want to make sure that kiddos and parents understand that when you get outside of your window of tolerance, you can't control it, right?
Right.
But what we want you to know is when you are trying to teach this, you can teach it with story. And Cathy has a beautiful story to tell us about the window of tolerance.
Right.
It has to do with her.
Right. So I'll tell the short version of the story. I guess before I start, it always fascinates me, as I'm sure it does you, like how quickly a kid can be dysregulated and leave their window.
Right.
Like it's like instantaneously. Okay. Funny story. About a month ago, I have 3 daughters, 2 of which went with me to this big craft show down in Kansas City. Very fun place to go.
They're adult daughters.
Yes, they're adults. We're all adults. I'm driving. Megan's in the front seat. Abby's in the back seat. It's dark. It's getting darker sooner around here. And my windshield is like super buggy because it hadn't frozen yet. Okay, so we're driving along, and all of a sudden I see, the lights in the background that are the police. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, crud. I was speeding because I know I was speeding. And so I'm like, do you think I should pull over? And that was the beginning of me becoming gone out of my window. So I pull over, officer comes up to my window. I figure out, oh my gosh, I've turned off my lights because I was messing with the windshield wipers. And Abby had said, Mom, stop messing with the windshield wipers. I'm like, Abby, I can't see. Okay, police officer walks up. He's like 11. He's like super young. And he's like, ma'am, your taillights are out. And I lost my mind. And it was like I was watching myself. I'm like, this isn't my car. And he looks at me, and Megan and Abby are like, what? Mom, I'm not listening to them. This isn't my car. Wait, it is my car. I don't drive this car. Well, we own this car, but like it's my husband's car. I don't drive this car anymore. So he's like, I'll be right back, ma'am. I take off my seatbelt. Abby's like, Mom, what do you do? Don't take off your seatbelt. So he goes back and he can hear possible stolen car. They give and I'm like, oh my God, he thinks I stole this car. So he comes back, and what I had done is I had clicked my lights back on, right? Because I pretty much had figured that I had turned them off. He's like, can I see your license and registration? And I'm like looking at him like if the lights are broke, it's because my husband I keep talking about the lights and how it's not my car and it's Dave's and it's his fault if the lights are gone. And Abby is like, Mom, get your driver's license. And I'm like, it's as if I don't know where it is. So Megan picks up my purse and she starts going through it. And I start grabbing, because I'm one of those people that saves all their insurance cards. I don't know why I do that. And I can't find it. So Megan takes my wallet from me and hands the police officer across me, like I'm a toddler, right? And I am not. It's like my brain turned off.
And what's interesting about this is her daughters were actually becoming her prefrontal cortex for her.
I couldn't find the hazard lights. They're like, you need to turn on your hazards. I'm like, I can't find them. And it was like I knew I was out of my window of tolerance, but I couldn't get back in. So make a long story short, I didn't steal my own car. The taillights the taillights were working because I had turned them off. And so the police officer, I'm starting to kind of come back a little. He's like, wow, your taillights are working. I'm like, that is so strange. And I'm like, making it heavier. I'm like, oh my God. So, Abby, taking a picture, Snapchat. I'm like, great, this is going to go out Snapchat, right? So he's like, here's what I want you to do. Here's your license and your registration. I want you to drive up to the next exit. You go across the interstate, and there's the drive.
She skipped one of my favorite parts.
What?
Where he complimented your shirt.
Okay, so he's asking me for my driver's license, and I can't find it, because right? And he goes, I think he knew, like I was losing my mind.
Right.
I think he goes, I really like your shirt. And I'm like, I have to look down. I pull it out. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my Colorado shirt. And he goes, and then I go, yeah, I'm from Colorado. Like I'm taught. I'm sure he's like at the police station saying, I stopped this lady who was driving her own car, but said it was stolen. So I'm sure I'm famous and some police officer. Anyway, so I turn off my hazard lights. I drive up. There's another whole funny part of the story about turning into the grass, but I'm not going to share that part because now it's too embarrassing.
Because she still was not in her window.
I'm still not back. So we get out to the gas station. We fill up with gas. Abby looks at me and goes, Mom, I'm going to drive the rest of the way. Get in the back seat. So I obeyed, and I got in the back seat, and I put my seatbelt on. And it took me a little while to kind of get myself back together.
Yes.
So my NC, I'm sure, is, you can't get in trouble. And I tried to explain this.
This negative cognition.
Yeah, my NC was, I can't get in trouble, and I can't make mistakes. So when I got caught, it activated my dysregulated brain, and I started making up all kinds of dumb stuff.
Yes.
So, at Thanksgiving, which we just had recently, was shared in front of the entire family. So it's weird because when I came back from it, I'm like, that's such a good example.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I used it with one of my kids who gets dysregulated very quickly. And I told him, I'm like, I actually really know how that feels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what happened. So I told that story. So now he thinks I'm a criminal, and he makes fun of me frequently.
And I think one of the most important parts here is what Cathy said. She said she could feel like she was watching herself.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're working with parents, and maybe you're showing this video to a parent right now, we want you to know that we've had kids say that to us before. It was like I was watching myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so keeping that in mind, that even us adults, when something triggering happens to us, we move out of that window of tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
And we may not look completely dysregulated, but our action, our words, right, come from a place of confusion and disruption. And so I think the most important piece too is what helped you calm down.
I had to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
And really, I didn't take myself out. Abby said, Mom, just sit in the back seat. Because I think by then, of course, they were like, oh my gosh, I think Mom's not just joking around. I think she's kind of lost it a little bit. And so it took me a little while to get back. So I guess for those of you watching, if you're a parent or a clinician, we have to be patient with the children that we're working with when they move out of that window of tolerance. That police officer and my two daughters needed to be patient with me so that I could get my brain back online and be able to continue my trip. Right. So you have to be patient, and you have to be careful that you're lying, you're making up that story, because I made up a crazy story about how that car wasn't even mine. And I clearly knew it was my car. So it's about patience, and it's about dysregulation, and it's about that window and how quickly a person can leave that window and how it might take a little bit longer to get back in it.
Yeah. So 3 things. 1, pay attention to your own window of tolerance. Pay attention to how you can get pushed out of it very quickly. 2, when you're in therapy and you're working with children and families, tell your own story.
Yeah, share a story.
People can relate to our own stories because we're imperfect, right? And so if we can share that, we're connecting with them so much more. And 3, know that it takes time to move back into that window of tolerance.
Right.
And when we're trying to teach, when a child or a grown-up is outside of their window of tolerance, that doesn't work. They need us to be their prefrontal cortex,
Right.
like her adult daughter,
Right.
her adult daughters were for her.
Right. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, we'll see you next
talk
month.
to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.